Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. We've got Jay Tompkins on today for the program. He is a special contributor here on today's program, bringing us stories that are of interest to our audience. He's got a phenomenal CPA firm. By the way, you can learn more about them at krtcpas.com. That's krtcpas.com. And Jay, before you introduce your guest today, kind of give us a little bit of information about your firm.
Sure, I'd love to. So we're a Woodlands-based CPA firm. We perform audits and reviews and tax services along with some consulting and CFO-type services and bookkeeping. We're 28 people, including the bookkeeping company here in the Woodlands. We're the largest area CPA firm, and we handle generally small to medium-sized privately held companies, retired individuals, and other individuals who have investments or real estate holdings and so forth and things like that.
Yeah. How old did you say the firm was?
We started in January of 2008.
Great. All right. Tell us about your guest today. Looks like a great one, actually.
Yeah, so Ann McAlpin is the executive director of CASA here in Montgomery County. I'm on the finance committee for this charity, and they do some really great work up here for children, and I'll let her jump in and explain what she does and what CASA is all about.
Yeah, go right ahead there, and welcome to the program, Ann.
Thanks. Last year in Montgomery County, there were over 800 confirmed cases of child abuse and neglect. What we do at CASA Child Advocates is to recruit and train volunteers to be advocates for kids who've been removed from their homes for abuse or neglect. So when a child is removed from their family because of abuse, at that time, a CASA volunteer is appointed by the court specifically to that child's case to look out for the child's best interest. So the advocate is an objective outside voice working to make sure that first the child gets everything they need while they're in the care of the state. For example, that they get their therapy, their visits with their mom and dad if that's appropriate, and primarily that they're safe. Second, they work to make sure that the child gets the best, safe, and permanent home as soon as possible. That often involves a lot of investigations, looking for relatives that may not have been uncovered previously. So the advocates don't actually make decisions, but they make recommendations to the court who decides for the child.
Very good. Jay, your question?
If you have a quick story on an advocate's story on what they do for somebody and what that really means to that child.
Well, there were two children. I'm going to call them Jeremy and Jennifer. They were 5 and 8 who were removed from their homes because of frequent neglect. They lived in a home where their mom left them alone constantly, and when she was there, she was frequently heard screaming at them. So one day, a neighbor called Child Protective Services, CPS, who investigated and found that, indeed, the mom had a real history of mental illness and she was not able to keep the children safe. So they were removed. They were placed with a relative who was a stranger to the children, but she was a relative. At that time, a CASA advocate was appointed by the court to advocate for the children. And the first thing she found in their investigation, she went to look to see if there was another relative, and she found that there was a dad. The dad had not been considered by CPS to be a caretaker for the child because he had a criminal history. But when she looked into it, what she found was that the criminal history consisted completely of altercations with that first wife, who had serious mental illness and could have had altercations, I'm going to say, with a turnip. But the dad was a stable, loving man in a stable relationship and wanted to take care of the children. So the advocate was able to get past the criminal history that CPS was not, by their regulations, allowed to ignore. She went on to do a home visit with the children, found that the home was not adequate for the children because it was only a 2-bedroom home and the children were too old to share a bedroom. So what the advocate did was to work with another one of our community organizations, Angel Reach, and they made the 2-bedroom home into a 3-bedroom home. And
that's cool.
At the same time, the dad was cleaning up the yard and building a fence and making the yard safe for the children. So the advocate was then able to go to court and recommend that the dad be the caretaker for the children. The court agreed, and the children were placed in the custody of the dad and his new wife. And at this time, the children are living with the dad. They're safe. They were previously in special ed classes and were heavily medicated for their behavior problems, and they are not in either anymore. They don't need to be in special ed. They don't need to be on special psychotropic medications. They're happy. They're healthy. And probably one of the best things is that because they're with their dad, they are able to maintain a relationship with their mom, but in a setting which doesn't rely on her for safety.
Yeah, I need to start working towards wrapping it up. I was hoping to have a little more time for more questions, but time's of the essence. How can people get involved with CASA?
Well, you really need volunteers. We want to be able to serve every child, and we need volunteers. Call our office or look us up on the website, and we have to be an advocate. It takes 30 hours of training. We will train you. We will provide you with everything that you need. Do a background check, of course, since we're dealing with children. But we'd love to have you call us and talk to us about becoming a volunteer.
And how many hours would a person need to be able to volunteer to make it worthwhile for CASA?
On the average, it's going to take about 10 hours a month.
I tell you, Ann, it's great stuff. I'm so glad that Jay brought this to our attention. Jay Tompkins, CPA, KRTCPAS.com. That's KRTCPAS.com to find his website. Do want to encourage you to get more information about his firm. And thanks for bringing Ann to us, Ann McAlpin. She's Executive Director of CASA for Montgomery County. And CASA, C-A-S-A, speaksforkids.com. Thanks to both of you today.
Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to have much more for you. I do want to remind you the best content here shows up over there at USAReview.com. Stay tuned for more right after this.